welcome back to my channel. I am Caitlin and this is where I teach you everything I know about sewing and we learn more together along the way. Today we're talking projector again. I do have 3 previous videos on my channel featuring my projector. So I have, the first video I did was why I don't like projector. The second video was my projector setup. And then the third was like an update on my projector. Using my experience, I guess, my updated experience. But I've never really addressed what a projector for sewing is, like what that means, how it works, what we do with it. So that's what today's video is about. Traditionally, when we think of a projector, we think of something that is projecting an image onto a screen for, say, a video or something like that, right? It's projecting to a vertical surface. When we traditionally think of sewing patterns, we think of paper that we pin or place onto fabric and then we cut around the paper. Well, somebody, somewhere, at some time, decided that now that we have digital patterns and can do alterations digitally, why not combine that with a projector and do it all paperless? So by mounting the projector so that the lens faces down, we're now able to form an image onto a table or the floor and completely eliminate paper. So how does this work? Well, we set up our projector. That's a whole nother thing in itself. There's, calibrations and things, and it depends on the projector you get, all of those types of things. When you buy your projector, I highly recommend the Projectors for Sewing Facebook group. That will walk you through everything you need to know. I don't know how anybody can set one up without that group. It just has all the information you need. So I will link that down below, as well as the videos I have already done. Once you have all that, the setup done, now you can use your electronic device, so computer, tablet, phone, to use your projector as kind of as a second screen. So I mean, I know this is not common for most people to know this, but it is a thing that a lot of people in, office jobs that they use 2 computer screens. It's kind of the same idea, except instead of having your second monitor, you now have a projected image. So by doing this, we can now download our PDF pattern like we normally would, use it from our computer. We pull up the file and we use the A0 format, the large scale format, and we blow it up to full screen. Then we set the zoom to whatever our calibration number was. For me, it's 37.7% is what I use, so that my test square is, the right size. Now that's being projected onto my table where I have my fabric. So all of a sudden, I now have pattern pieces, the right size, right shape, the right orientation on my fabric. I can just cut it out. Isn't that amazing? It is so cool to be able to have 0 paper in the sewing room. So now what you're probably thinking is, okay, yeah, but what about alterations? How do I do my full bust adjustment if it's just projecting onto my fabric? There's a couple different options. Some people prefer to project onto paper and then trace their pattern and stuff. This eliminates, the PDF printing on letter and then taping it all together. Personally, not a fan of that. That still, to me, is just not the reason I got a projector. So what you can do is you can actually make these alterations ahead of time on a program on your computer. I personally use Inkscape. It is a free program and it allows me to be able to make these alterations or, add different things, that kind of thing. In that program, you can also do all kinds of things like make your fabric size on there and then see if your pieces will fit on there. You can unfold your pattern pieces. You can duplicate if you want to just cut on one single layer of fabric. You can make your pocket 4 different pocket pieces or 2 different pant legs, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use technology to then project this and again be paperless in your sewing room. But like everything, there are positives and negatives. So let's go over the benefits and the downsides of using a projector for sewing. For me, there's kind of 3 to 4 main benefits. Number 1 being that I can be totally paperless. This is the number 1 reason that I purchased a projector for my sewing practice, and the number 1 reason that I will continue to use a projector regardless of the downsides of it. So for me, being paperless is just the biggest reason to use a projector. Next, a lot of people like to use a projector because it saves time. There's less steps. You don't have to take an hour to tape your pattern together and then trace it off and cut it out. You just project it right onto your fabric and you're done. So there's a lot less steps there, and there's more ways to save time. It can also save time when you're actually cutting it out, because you don't have to be swapping pattern pieces back and forth. You just use your projector. Yes, you do need to like move your mouse and stuff, but it's really not a big deal. And I think it may be a little bit faster than using paper pattern pieces. And the third benefit that I like is that you can change things as you go. So when I have my fabric laid out on my table and I'm projecting on there, and then all of a sudden, oh shoot, I should have like made this piece shorter or something like that. Something that maybe is I would need to do a pattern adjustment for, I can just go into the computer and like alter that and then come back. If I had to do that on paper, I would have to either find another surface to make the changes on my paper, or I would have to take everything off of my table, like my fabric and everything, and then realign, and it would be a whole process. I just find it easier to change as you go on the computer. That being said, I do try to make all the adjustments before I start cutting, just because then it keeps things very simple. Now for the downsides. Number one, it's technology. I am trying to get away from technology, but the computer is the one thing that, you know, we've kind of agreed that we will be keeping because we have businesses online, but also because it's kind of detached from us. It's not like a smartphone where it's always with us. You know, we don't have tablets, that kind of thing. So it is still using technology, and maybe one day I won't feel the need, I can't even say I won't feel the need for patterns, like PDF patterns, because I can't see that day happening anytime soon. But for now in my life that I'm in, dealing with this small aspect of technology is you know, it's okay for me. However, there will come a day when, you know, this gives out or something like that, and then it has to be replaced. Whereas when you have a paper pattern, that's not really a thing. Unless it gets wrecked or something, of course, but that's kind of, I don't know, a different ballpark. I've already touched on the alterations, so I'm gonna call that kind of a moot point, but there is a bit of a learning curve, and I will say that that is maybe a downside. However, anything new that you pick up, there's bound to be a learning curve, so is that really worth not getting a projector? I don't think so. And finally, it's not super portable. So like, yeah, you could take this with you somewhere, or if you have an ultra short throw where it doesn't mount to the wall or to the ceiling, you could take that with you and then cut out on vacation or whatever. When I'm sewing away from home, I typically just cut things out ahead of time anyway, so I'm not dragging the patterns along. So I can't really say that this has affected my life at all. But if you do tend to take patterns with you places, then that may be something to consider. So I hope that kind of answered some of your questions as to what a projector is used for in the sewing room and like how you actually use it. If you do have more questions, more specific details, I will leave my projector playlist down below where you can find all the videos that I've mentioned and that I've made for projectors in my sewing room. I really truly do enjoy using it. When I got it took me a few months before I actually set it up, and I just kept kicking myself and kicking myself and kicking myself after that fact, because I don't know why I waited so long. It wasn't that hard to set up, it wasn't that hard to calibrate, it wasn't that hard of a learning curve, and the rewards have been exponential. And it's something that I just don't know how I lived without, and I don't know, now when I see people like using paper patterns and talking about paper patterns, I'm just thinking like, girl, you need to get on the digital age. And this is just, I don't know, it's just not having that giant stack and drawer full of paper patterns is worth its weight in gold. And let me tell you, there was a lot of weight there. So that's why I really just truly do feel like projector sewing, if it works with your sewing room and your lifestyle, give it a try. Just trust me on this. Thanks so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you like your projector or if you're looking to get into projector sewing. And if you're interested in sticking around, hit that subscribe button so I can see you in the next video. Bye!